I'm Nicholas Kelly, and this is my mom, Daniela. For most of her life, she also grew up in Stamford, Connecticut. I'll be interviewing her today. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Nick.
How did your school and neighborhood affect your childhood?
How did my school and neighborhood affect my childhood? My neighborhood, where I grew up here in Stamford, um, was a working class neighborhood. Nobody was super rich, no one was poor, um, but it was a great neighborhood to grow up in. It was a big wide street with lots of kids, and everybody was outside all the time on bikes and riding to each other's homes, and it was just a really great experience to grow up there.
Okay. What were your parents like growing up?
What were my parents? My parents were very strict with me growing up. Fair, but very strict.
Okay. Now, do you think their influences positively or negatively affected your childhood?
At the time, I probably didn't think that it affected it very positively, but in retrospect now, um, I realized that it was a good thing to have strict parents.
Good. Now, growing up, can you list some of your hobbies growing up?
Easy. My hobbies were riding my bike. My hobby was gymnastics. I loved gymnastics.
Okay. Now, how did your surroundings influence your interests and the things you liked, the people you liked?
There was a group of girls in my neighborhood, and we all loved gymnastics. And I lived in between everyone's houses. And obviously, with a bike comes freedom. And it was a really quiet residential neighborhood, cul-de-sac. So we could rip off on our bikes anytime we wanted with no real fear of busy streets and traffic and um, other such things. So we had a lot of freedom within our neighborhood, and um, we used it. We rode our bikes to each other's homes and did what we liked. We did gymnastics together and put makeup on each other, and you know.
Okay. Well, since you almost answered this question
Okay,
with your other
sorry.
answers, how did the people around you, like your friends, change your opinions and interests?
How did they change my opinions and interests? Um, I don't think they changed them. I think that they reinforced them.
Perfect. Okay. Now, what were you like in middle school and high school?
Very outgoing.
Very outgoing.
Very outgoing.
Perfect. Okay. Now, throughout your middle school and high school career, even into college, do you regret any decisions you made about education, about, kind of life itself?
I don't think so. I don't think that regret is really a good thing to have, because I think everybody makes the best decisions they can at the time that they have to make them.
Now, do you think those decisions positively or negatively affected you, such as, the little bad decisions you made, or, the ones that made up for it, the good decisions?
I don't think the little ones really had too much of an impact. I think a lot of good decisions can have an impact, but I think a lot of individual bad ones, I don't think there were a lot of them. I think there were none, that's for sure, but I think that I don't think I would change anything.
Okay. Now, with 1 to 3 words, how would you describe your family growing up?
Strict, close, loving.
Okay. Now, if you could change one thing about your education, your decisions, anything from your last year in college back to right when you were born, what would you change?
I think I would take more advantage of the private school education that I got.
Okay. Now, how was your life out of school? Like, such as, after school, like after school activities in your neighborhood.
High school, middle school, when?
High school, middle school. That's fine. Anything.
Very active.
Okay. Now, what was your life like after school, after college?
Very active. I graduated college, and 2 weeks later, I moved to Washington, D.C., and worked for the Smithsonian. I was busy. I was very active. I got involved in a lot of things, and I was happy. I did what I loved doing.
Okay. Now, how did your siblings affect you, positively or negatively?
My siblings. A lot of sibling rivalry.
Rivalry. Now, how would you describe that rivalry? Would you describe it as a friendly rivalry?
Yes.
Okay. Peer pressure. I know during middle school and high school and college, there's a lot of peer pressure. How did it affect you? Did you kind of ignore it? Or
I think the worst peer pressure I felt was in middle school.
now, during middle school, was it from friends? Was it from a group of people? What was the kind of, you know?
It was people that I had been friendly with in my childhood starting to make decisions and choices that were a little too advanced for where I was at that time. And it was tough because it put a lot of strain on our friendships.
Okay. Now, last question. Do you think you used your education to the fullest? All of your years in school, how have you used that to your advantage in your adult life?
I've used a lot of it. I think that even though I don't necessarily work in a field that's reflective of what I received my degree in college, I think that 4 years of college shows the discipline to learn. It shows the discipline to stick with something, and it shows the discipline to not give up.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you, Danielle.